The West Coast Main Line, for decades the flagship route of Britain's railway network, and since the early 2000s, the exclusive domain of the Class 390 Pendolino, a fleet of Italian-designed tilting trains built by Alstom for one purpose, to get from London to Manchester and Glasgow very, very quickly. They were, by any measure, a technological marvel for the time, and still to this day are the backbone of West Coast Main Line operations. But the problem with a perfectly balanced fleet, where every single train is specialised and identical, is when you lose one, you have a very large and very expensive Pendolino-shaped hole in your timetable. On the 23rd of February 2007, the 1715 service from London Euston, formed of set 390033 City of Glasgow, derailed at Grayrigg in Cumbria. Caused by faulty points, it was a terrible tragedy, and in the aftermath, the train was deemed beyond economic repair. For the operator, Virgin Trains, this created an immediate operational crisis. The entire franchise was built around this specific fleet. You couldn't just build a new 9-car tilting train overnight. That would take years. So what do? Well, you do what the British railway industry has always done best. You improvise. This is the Pretendolino. A mix of pretend and pendolino, the name was an affectionate moniker for a train that was, on the surface, an impostor, but beneath the paint, it was an all-star team of classic British rail engineering. The traction in day-to-day operation was provided by a Class 90 electric locomotive. 50 of these were built by Braille at Crewe in the late 80s, a powerful 5,000 horsepower workhorse with a top speed of 110 miles per hour. Crucially, it had a system called time division multiplexing, otherwise known as TDM, which allowed it to be driven in a push-pull mode. During its service with Virgin Trains, the Pretendolino's Class 90s were initially supplied by DB Schenker and Freightliner, with DRS also providing Class 90 traction, having subleased one of the class from DB Schenker. The heart of the train was its rake of Mark III coaches. Initially known as Set Whiskey Bravo 64, these are considered by many to be one of the most successful passenger carriage designs in the world. Developed in the 1970s for the HST, their legendary smooth and quiet ride came from their advanced BT10 bogies, with secondary air suspension, a system that isolates the cabin from the track. And at the other end, this, a Mark III driving van trailer, or DVT. This is essentially an unpowered control car, a driver's cab and a luggage van. This is what made push-pull work. The driver could sit in this cab and control the Class 90 locomotive at the other end of the train, allowing for rapid turnarounds at terminals like Euston without having to detach and move the engine. This collection of rolling stock had been in service as a standby set since the derailment. Virgin Trains management was looking into the possibility of leasing 2 Class 80 DMUs, but the final decision was taken to keep the Mark IIIs and DVT. This is where the Pretendolino identity was truly born, in July 2009. Virgin Trains' entire brand was built on being modern, fast and stylish. A 20-year-old train in a faded livery just wouldn't do it. So in a perfect example of brand management, the entire set was sent to Wabtec's Doncaster Works. The Mark IIIs and DVT were repainted into Virgin Trains' striking silver and red livery, copying the flagship Pendolino fleet. But this wasn't just a paint job, the inside was completely refurbished. Seats were reupholstered and, crucially, modern amenities like at-seat power points and Wi-Fi were installed. From 2009 until 2014, the Pretendolino became a familiar if unpredictable sight, and it served 2 main roles. First, it was a timetabled relief train. It was often rostered for a Friday evening overflow service, typically from London Euston to Birmingham or Manchester, soaking up extra demand at the busiest time of the week. Second, it was used as a standby asset for the entire Pendolino fleet. If a Pendolino unit failed or was unavailable, the Pretendolino was called up at short notice to fill the gap, providing a vital layer of operational resilience. This did, however, create a minor timetabling headache. Network controllers now had to find a path for a 110 mph non-tilting train amongst a fleet of 125 mph tilting ones. Its unique nature also made it a celebrity. It was famously hired out as a charter train, on one occasion taking Chelsea football fans to Newcastle, hauled by a preserved Class 86. But its time was always limited. By 2014, the operational gap it was built to fill had closed. New Pendolinos from Italy had been delivered, and a major project was underway to lengthen the original sets from 9 to 11 coaches. The Pretendolino was no longer needed. So, where is the Pretendolino in 2025? Well, the story didn't end in 2014. The entire set was transferred to a Bello Greater Anglia, becoming a hot spare for the other main loco-hauled route in the UK, the London to Norwich line. It served there for several years until that fleet was also replaced by newer Stadler trains. The set then moved on and had a single passenger service with Trans-Pennine Express. This was the last revenue service for the set as we know it. Only then was the Pretendolino truly broken up. The iconic driving van trailer, 82126, was not so fortunate. After being in storage with DRS for a number of years, the asset had limited further use and was eventually sold for scrap, being cut up at CF Booth's yard in Rotherham in April 2022. The Mark III coaches of the set have ended up in a few different places since their withdrawal. Many of the coaches were acquired by Eastern Rail Services, a specialist company in Great Yarmouth. The company has since sold some of these on, such as one Mark III now being with Locomotive Services Limited, and even one coach being converted into a farm shop and cafe in Hereford. And finally, what happened to the Class 90 locomotives? Their fate is a perfect snapshot of the modern UK railway. In 2023, one major operator, DB Cargo, permanently withdrew its entire fleet because the high price of electricity made them more expensive to run than diesels. Yes, you heard that right. However, the other main operator, Freightliner, has doubled down, even buying the locomotives from Greater Anglia. You can see them today hauling heavy freight right alongside Pendolinos on the West Coast Main Line. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please click the like button, and if you haven't already, then why not also subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.